If you need help deciding whether Crusader Kings 3 is the right medieval strategy game for you, this video will answer all of your questions. We'll start with a 60-second, too long didn't read overview of the game, so you can tap out early if it doesn't appeal to you. After that, we'll look at the detailed mechanics, so you can get a real feel for what it's like to actually play the game. Then we'll finish up by answering some practical questions to help you decide whether Crusader Kings 3 is worth your time and money today. You start the game by ruling any county, duchy, kingdom, or empire on this world map in the years 867 or 1066, reliving historic events or doing whatever the heck you like as a character you've created. Either way, you'll seek to expand your holdings with a mixture of espionage, diplomacy, marriage, and most of all, fighting. You'll invest tax revenue into buildings and upgrade castles. You'll fabricate claims on titles and create new religions, all while churning out babies to secure the future of your dynasty. Eventually, your character will die, and your lands will be split between your children. Continuing as the eldest child, you will likely have to fight your siblings to restore your father's kingdom, let alone expand it further. Everyone has an opinion of you, and opinions matter. You can appoint powerful vassals to your council to keep them happy, but with a limited number of positions, you may need to resort to blackmail to keep the others from rebelling. So, if you like the sound of developing your character's skills, and those of your heir, forming an empire over generations, and the occasional feast to help you de-stress, then Crusader Kings 3 might be your cup of tea. If the too long didn't read hasn't put you off yet, then let's take a deeper dive into what it's like to actually play a game of Crusader Kings 3 before looking at more practical considerations such as the steepness of learning curve and how often it goes on sale, etc. It's a game you can pause and fast forward to your heart's content, where the smallest plot of land is a county, owned by a count. Several counties make up a duchy, owned by a duke. Duchies make up a kingdom, and kingdoms make up empires. You can start the game as any ruler that exists at the beginning of the game, or swap them out for a character of your own creation, but many counties start as independent because the duchy above them has not yet been formed. As you play the game, you can create these predetermined duchies, then kingdoms and empires, when you own enough of the land that forms each of them. To conquer a neighboring land, you first need a claim on the relevant title. You may start the game with a few claims already. You can buy them or even fabricate them, but however you do it, when you have the claim, you can legally fight for it. Once you've declared war, you can raise your armies and fight your opponent in either open battle or siege their cities. Each victory increases your percentage progress towards your war goal, and if you achieve 100% war score, you can enforce your demands, usually giving you the title you seek, thereby expanding your lands, then rinse repeat. Your army is made up of levies, men-at-arms, and knights. Levies are the most numerous but the lowest quality, and you don't buy them. Their number is increased by constructing certain buildings and general expansion. Men-at-arms are purchased and have a maintenance cost. There are different types with a rock-paper-scissors style counter system, and they are far more effective than levies. Your most powerful units are your knights, which are named individuals from your court, ranked by their prowess. There's a cap on how many you can have, which can be increased as you play, and you can invite champions to your court with the hope of finding Sir Chad to replace your weakest knight. You also have the option of recruiting mercenaries to temporarily swell your ranks, provided you're happy to pay the coin. As you expand, you'll find the game limits how many titles you can hold directly by giving your character a domain limit, above which you incur severe penalties, encouraging you to give away your lower ranked titles provided you own the title above them, otherwise they'll just become independent. Giving away titles means you now have vassals, all of which have an opinion of you, pay you tax, and contribute levies to your army. You want as much tax and power for yourself as possible, while keeping your vassals happy enough to not rebel against you with gifts of gold, a position on your council, or even blackmailing them by uncovering their secrets. Once your character has died, you will proceed to play as your player heir, usually your eldest child until they die, and rinse repeat. In the early to mid-game, upon death your lands will be carved up equally among your children, so you will need to reunify your original lands by scheming against your siblings or with open war. And if that wasn't enough, your vassals will automatically have a low opinion of you in the early days of your rule, emboldening them to press their own claims to your titles. The key to all of this is to think ahead. You must ensure your heir will receive the most powerful titles upon your death, perhaps by tweaking the line of succession with a cheeky scheme to murder someone, or put them at the front line of a losing battle to remove them from the equation. You can also educate your player heir as they grow up, affecting their underlying statistics, your future statistics, all of which can help to secure the future of your house. To achieve your goals, you'll spend much of your time interacting with your council members by assigning them a variety of tasks. Each council member position relies on a particular skill, either diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue, or learning. So you need to ensure that each council member has the highest possible level in the skill that is relevant to their role, while also bearing in mind that appointing someone to your council is an honor that powerful vassals will demand, even if they're not very good at that skill. And sacking them because someone else has a higher skill is an insult that could lead to all-out rebellion. Your steward is basically the money man. By default, they collect taxes, but you can order them to increase the development of a certain county over time, basically improving infrastructure, which yields a variety of benefits. Or they can promote your culture in a particular county. As you expand your borders, you'll eventually absorb different cultures, which creates friction within your borders that can be alleviated by your steward promoting your culture one county at a time. Your marshal can lower your army's upkeep, increase the effectiveness of your knights, or increase the control you have in a county. Freshly conquered counties generally have low control. Low control means low taxes and fewer levies for your army, but over time, your marshal can bring each one of them to order. Your spy master can find secrets, which are useful for blackmailing your vassals to keep them in line, or to persuade other leaders to see things your way. They can also be used to support any schemes you have underway. Schemes are essentially a multi-stage text adventure with a percentage chance of success, increased by your spy master's intrigue skill. You could scheme to murder someone because their existence is inconvenient, but schemes can be as simple as swaying someone to make them like you, or even seduce them. Your Chancellor focuses on diplomacy, either improving your vassal's opinion of you or improving relations with foreign rulers. The Chancellor also brings us to another precious resource in the game, prestige. There are several ways to gain more prestige, winning wars and hosting feasts, for example. Then you can spend it on declaring wars, increasing your crown authority over your vassals, or inviting powerful knights to your court to improve your ranks. As your prestige increases, so too does your level of fame. The higher your level of fame, the more tax you will receive, and higher levels also unlock different decisions, giving you more options to declare war, for example. Then, last but not least, we have your chaplain. As well as other cultures, you will eventually absorb other faiths into your realm, which again can cause friction. So you can set your chaplain to convert the faith of a county to that of your own. They can also fabricate claims on counties and even duchies, which is incredibly useful, or they can concentrate on religious relations, which gives you piety. Piety is the third resource in the game, which can also be used for many things. You could exchange piety for a claim on a county, declare a holy war, exchange it for gold, or even create a new religion. Speaking of which, there are 3 religious families in the game, with many religions, and then faiths branching out from those 3. Each religion has a default opinion of the other, which will affect individuals' opinions of each other depending on their respective faiths. Each religion has a set of virtues and sins. If your character has a trait that's considered a virtue, you will receive more piety, and people of that faith will like you more. But sins will have the opposite effect. Similar to prestige and fame, the more piety you gain, the higher level of devotion you will attain, which will grant various benefits. In addition, each faith has 3 tenets, which generally have passive effects, and faiths also have different doctrines, which more affect what you can actually do, such as divorce, for example. Each faith also has a number of holy sites. If someone of that faith controls the holy site, everyone of that faith will benefit from a bonus, encouraging different leaders of the same faith to attack or defend holy sites together. Basically, religion is massive in this game. Now, those are the big subjects in Crusader Kings 3, but there is so much more, so here's a quick-fire summary of the remaining subjects. There is research in the game which is linked to your culture, but it's incredibly slow and you don't have much control over it. In fact, most things in this game are slow. You're not meant to paint the map in half an hour. That would take all the fun out of it. There are 3 types of government: feudal, tribal, and clan, which can have subtle effects on the way you play, but even with a different government, you're still broadly playing the same way, and you can convert to a different type. You are occasionally asked to make a decision. If you make a decision that is contrary to your personality traits, you gain a level of stress. Gain enough stress and you'll suffer a mental breakdown. You could go for a hunt or pay for a feast to reduce your stress, or you can take on a negative trait instead. You can go off on a religious pilgrimage or to a neighboring ruler's land for a hunt or a feast, and while you're away, you have to appoint a regent. The longer you're away, however, the more difficult it will be for you to convince your regent to simply give up the power they've been enjoying while you're away. You gain levels of dread by doing horrible things like murdering people. The more dread you have, the more likely people are to be scared of you, which can be useful for keeping vassals in line. Each plot of land has a different terrain, which will affect the statistics of the battle, so make sure you fight on favorable terrain. You can gain artifacts and inventory such as special armor or jewelry, which can increase your level of dread or prowess, for example, giving you and other rulers something else to fight over. Factions can be formed against you as a precursor to rebellion, or indeed you could form one of your own because you can be a vassal yourself in this game and even be a part of someone else's council. Looking at your family tree, you are part of a dynasty or house. The head of the dynasty can make decisions, such as disinheritance or adopting a bastard Jon Snow, for example, and generally it gives you another way of interacting with other leaders outside of your lands. The resource for dynasties is renown, and you can gain levels of splendor that can eventually unlock dynasty legacies, which provide a permanent bonus to all those of that dynasty. For each character, you will choose a lifestyle, which aligns with the skills that we looked at earlier. Within each lifestyle, you choose one of 3 focuses, yielding slightly different stat-boosting bonuses within that lifestyle. And as your character gains experience, you can select a variety of perks, unlocking specific bonuses or actions that range from meh to totally overpowered. And if you follow a certain tree to the end, your character gains a specific permanent trait. Finally, you have a feudal contract with each of your vassals that determines how much tax they pay you and how many levies they must contribute to your army, amongst other things, and it can be negotiated to squeeze more out of them or improve your relations. Hopefully by now you have an idea of what it's like to actually play Crusader Kings 3. I'd love to go into more detail, but we must move on to address more practical considerations that will help you decide whether this game is right for you today. The learning curve is pretty brutal. The in-game tutorial and ongoing tooltips are decent, but involve a heck of a lot of reading. You'll need a good 5 hours before you start to really get to grips with even the fundamentals of the game. As such, you should be prepared to invest hours into this game, not just at the beginning, but all future playthroughs. The hours genuinely melt away, and while that's a great experience, not everyone has the time to give 2 or 3 hours each evening to a video game. On the flip side of this, the longevity of this game is outstanding. The base game has almost infinite replayability, and that's before you get to the multiple DLCs and mods, of which there are many. So you can rest assured that if Crusader Kings 3 is your cup of tea, you won't need another game for a long time. As the game is a few years old now, we're starting to see discounts of 50% every month or 2, so never pay more than half price for this game. The game is also available on Xbox Game Pass for now, and plays great on Steam Deck. Crusader Kings 3 is a complex game with deep mechanics that you'll still be learning after 100 hours. Getting to know the game requires patience and feels like you're studying for an exam at times. If you've played other Paradox 4X games before, you won't be a stranger to the complexity, but it's worth noting that, aside from the obvious medieval setting, this game isn't so much about economy, it's much more about diplomacy and generally role-playing the kind of ruler that you want to be, while holding the Holy Roman Empire together or working your way up to an emperor from a lowly count, reforming a lost religion or even one of your own. If you're completely new to 4X games, it's difficult to recommend Crusader Kings 3 as your first, because it's simply so complex, even compared to others in the same genre. If you enjoy the medieval period, then sure, go for it. But if you prefer the sci-fi setting, you'd be better off starting with Stellaris, or for the World War II setting, Hearts of Iron 4, as being keen on the setting will really help you persevere through the brutal learning curve of these games. Outside of gaming, it's a very popular choice for those who enjoy the history of this time period in general, as there are many well-known historical figures that you can play as or against. So, history buffs, this is definitely one for you. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask, or if you already own the game and have some additional information you'd like to add, let us all know in the comments below. If you found the video useful, please leave a like for the algorithm gods, and if you enjoy this style of review and are feeling adventurous, why not consider subscribing to be notified of future content? And I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.